When you look at Edmonton as a city, it's become so bureaucratic that I think it pushes people away from being community minded. So you got to know your neighbors. It's important to know your neighbors because that's the best way to build community. To start a campaign, you just have to write an email to the city saying, I want to run. That's to start. So I sent it in. And that's where I just went for it. And next thing you know, sometimes you just got to go ahead and do it anyways. And maybe ask for forgiveness because sometimes it usually works out. I'd say 99% of the time it's okay. I had some forces against me, man. They were gunning hard for me, okay, for the jugular. Yeah. But you have people clenching their fists to like what's status quo. And I just don't know if that's realistic for government because things are moving fast and they're going to move fast. But heritage is it transcends the built form. It's contextual, it's association, it's landscape. When my family visits me in Edmonton, I'm always like, where am I going to take them? Okay, there is opportunities out there. I always say that, right? I look at one of my best friends is an immigrant from Russia and he came with nothing. And now he has a beautiful condo downtown.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long-Term Podcast. I'm your host, Advin Villa. Today, we have a former City of Edmonton real estate supervisor, a small business owner. It's a coffee shop called Boxcar. It's very popular in Edmonton. You guys should check it out. And he's a community advocate known for his deep knowledge of city operations and passionate civic voice, Jesse Watson. He continues to challenge the status quo and pushes for accountability in how Edmonton is run. We will discuss community building, government accountability, history, and heritage. Jesse is a very inspirational individual, and he comes up with an idea and puts it to action. He's a go-getter, and he makes people feel into one. He makes people feel connected through community and through history and heritage. He's definitely done a lot of great for Edmonton, and I can't wait for all of you to hear about his thoughts and beliefs. And there's so many cool things in this episode. I hope all of you enjoy. Everybody, welcome Jesse Watson. All right, welcome to the Long-Term Podcast.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, Jesse Watson, everyone. So what do you think are the biggest barriers to fostering a stronger sense of community in Edmonton today?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I would say, I always like to talk about something as simple as volunteering. Okay. So when I was growing up, I'm a little bit older than you. When I was growing up, you could say build a playground in your neighborhood with just sweat and tears, right? You could get the hammer out, you could get some lumber, you could go to Home Depot, you can build the playground, right? You mobilize around a common good. And I'm a planner, I'm a city planner, right? I care a lot about neighborhood action. But what's happened over time, and I'd say the last 10, 15 years, is it's become so bureaucratic, right? It's like, oh, you're on parkland, you need to fill out a form. Oh, you need an emergency response plan. Oh, you can't have volunteers. So we've kind of like turned volunteering into red tape. And so when I look at that example, it's kind of in every facet, right? If I want to just have a block party, right? Celebrate, I have a business. I have a little coffee shop on the north side in Calder called Boxcar. Shout out to Boxcar, okay?
Shout out to Boxcar.
If I wanted to just get the business together on the road, we can't do it. We can't, you need a permit for a barbecue, you need approvals from the city. So there's a lot of barriers, right? And I don't know if it's the same in the rural areas in Sherwood Park, right? Because I think, even things like business licenses, you don't even need one out here. You can just open up a business, right? So when you look at Edmonton as a city, it's become so bureaucratic that I think it pushes people away from being community minded.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why did it lead up to that?
Like cities get risk adverse, right? Say someone was hurt or something happens over time. So they want to mitigate the risk, or a question comes up or an event happens and something goes bad. So you're trying to mitigate for the worst case scenario. But the reality is that scenario never comes, or it's never a reality, but it's just an inevitable, I think, shift in how our society has played over time.
Yeah. There's too many barriers to be able to
just have
start
fun.
And just have fun.
Just enjoy a city, enjoy your town. Just get out there with your neighbors. It's it's become so you can't even plant a plant in your boulevard anymore without a permit, without getting approval from the city. Say you want to just beautify your neighborhood and say, hey, I got a boulevard, I'm going to put a little shrub tree, I'm going to put a tree. You can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So something as simple as trying to green your neighborhood, there's a lot of barriers there. So when I look at community and what it represents is it's kind of shifted away from organic grassroots to more top-down approaches of what community should be by the city of Edmonton. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And how would you go about building community now? Because I know you're actively involved, right? And you had said you've noticed that there's so many barriers. But if you're a person that wants to get involved and you don't know where to start, how do you go about it?
Yeah, like there's always that old adage. It's like eyes on the street are the safest street. There's a famous planner that said that. Her name's Jade Jacobs. That's like a philosophy, right? So you got to know your neighbors. It's important to know your neighbors because that's the best way to build community. It builds networks and safety nets. And so, really getting to know them, not just waving at them when they drive into their garage, right? Yeah. I'd even say the way we're building nowadays has changed what community means, right? I'm in a house right now. Great place. Beautiful, by the way. Front car garage. It changes, the old school porch in the front, different types of typology. So everything we've kind of built to has shaped us away from actually interacting with each other, right? Like isolation, we chatted a little bit about that, where if you don't know your neighbors, you feel more isolated, you don't have more community spirit. So to counter that, it's like, I'd say you have to be really intentional about getting to know them, going out of your way. Someone moving in, go say hello. It's okay. Don't be afraid to do that. It's important. And then from there, you try to host an event, get to know people. If you're really keen and you're wanting to actually do something business orientated, then doing something community focused, right? I have a coffee shop. It's the most local thing you can possibly do. It's like you hear the good, the bad, the ugly. People aren't breaking up in coffee shops. They're happy. They're connecting. But it does change a community when you have those sorts of approaches.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've talked to, when I do ask them, do you want to make more friends? Like majority of people say yes. Like you want more friends, you want more connection, right? You'd be a different type of person. You'd be an outlier to not have that. But I think most people are just scared of rejection. They're scared of approaching someone and maybe it goes wrong, or maybe in the other person's head that they're just not liking the atmosphere, the vibe. Like how do you go about rejection? Because you've set up your own coffee shop, right? You've really put yourself out there and you've talked to an array of people, and I'm sure not everyone was going to like you, right? Maybe majority, but there's going to be those people that just maybe they didn't vibe with you. Maybe they,
I always say you gotta go with your gut, right? Your gut's usually right. And, when we opened up our coffee shop, people said we were crazy. It's never going to do well there. You're in a bad area, but I'm like, hey man, I've worked in real estate for 10 years. I was at the city a long time. I'm a planner. I'm an economist. Like I can't be that crazy. And we opened it and it's been the best it's ever been. We got best coffee shop in the city. We gentrified an area. The police come, the fire come, all these things come. And then I've been witnessing a shift, not only in the neighborhood, like it's become a better place. I do believe that, at least in the surrounding. But I look at even what's happening in the coffee shop, right? Like we have a group that does speed dating events, and it's actually pretty funny to see different groups speed dating in a coffee shop, right? We got the 18s to 24s, and they're basically just staring at each other, not knowing how to communicate. And then you have the 50 pluses, and they won't leave. They just talk all night. And it really shows you like how we've changed and how important it is to get out there and not be afraid to ask people, or, like even a podcast like this is, I'd say most people your age, younger, would not do something like this, right? It shows that you have the courage and the passion to make change, even in your own way.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm chronically online, right? I see all the memes, like the 6-7 type thing. But there's this idea of like cringe now, like, right? If you start something, it's cringe. Like, why would you do that? And it's like, why start something when people are just going to look down on you? And that's kind of the fear, right? Since everything is digitized, since majority of people that do start something, everybody's got the microscope on them. Like, like this person started a new business, or oh, this person's starting an event. It's like if it does fail, it's not just like your local group that knows about it. It's your local group and their friends and the friends of friends. But I think failure is very important to be able to stomach that. And that's where you learn the most. And I'm sure with building this coffee shop that you had, right, you probably went through sacrifice, so many things, poured sweat, blood, and tears to that.
Legit.
Yeah. How did you, and you mentioned there's also a bunch of naysayers that are like, oh, it's in Edmonton, that location sucks.
Yeah.
How did you go about trying to tune their voices down and trust yourself in the process? Because there's only one of you, right? But then there's like 10 people telling you, and often they're friends and family, right, that want the best for you.
Yeah.
Right. I find that when I start something, I'm like, maybe take it slowly, don't do this. And yes, it comes out of love from them, but at the same time, you got to trust your gut. How do you go about that?
Yeah. Like, I'd say, you have to will it to an extent. I talked about a coffee shop for years. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to have a coffee shop, guys. We're going to open a coffee shop. And then we're renovating this building for years on end. People ask me about the coffee shop. I'm like, next year, eventually I think people with a little bit of crumbs, people start to see a bigger outcome. They start to see a nice apartment. Like we have apartments there, right? As well. We don't have 4 of them, and they're like little condos. They're pretty cool. We have young professionals living in them. It's like novelty living on top of a coffee shop. It's a different type of typology in Edmonton. And so you started to get people kind of excited about it. And, so slowly but surely, we willed it into being. Okay. And, it was very humbling in the beginning because, we opened. I am a firm believer, whether it's business or if it's apartments or whatever, if you build quality, you get quality. Okay. And we've kind of turned into a cheap society. Everything's disposable. And I just don't think that's good for the long run. That's just for community or for business. So we vested a lot of money and energy, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And it became quite a aesthetics place. And, we got the best coffee shop in the city. That helped us. But we got bad reviews, right? And you take it really personally, 1-star crap coffee.
Yeah, you're reading that and you're like,
it's tough.
I put in my sweat, blood, and tears into this. Hard. And then you just shit all over it.
It's hard, right? Yeah. And, even running the campaign, man, I ran for city council, came pretty close, close with no cigar. But, my business was part of my campaign because I branded my cups and I was a small business owner. And, people who didn't believe in me went after my business too, gave me 1-star reviews. I got 34 of them, stuff like that, and then you're like, wow, there's people out there that want to impact your livelihood. Mm-hmm. That's tough, right? Yes. So it's like a fine line. You always have to like balance that. And you got to think through things too, right? I'm a little bit just dive into it without always thinking sometimes. And hey, most of the time it works out because I think if you believe in something, it will. But sometimes, hey, it backfires.
Yeah. I've also had some experience with people just leaving comments. Like I have some people that don't follow me. Yeah. And within the hour of me posting a video, they always have something negative to say. Like I'm reading that, I'm like, I've seen these people, like, cause it's pretty local, right? Usually the people that watch my videos, they're the people that
delete them?
I don't. I reply to them.
Okay, good.
I give them a heart sometimes because I think the people that do leave hate comments, the people that do view your stuff, I think they're coming from a place, right? Maybe of, yes, it's of negativity, but I can also derive value from it. Like somebody made a comment on how my tone of voice, it was condescending. And I'm like, and then he said something racist before that. But like, that's the race thing, I can't really do anything about.
Yeah.
But the condescending thing, maybe I was a bit I was rushing into that. Maybe I can take something out of that. And I'm going to ask my friends, like, hey, was this person right? And if
your friends are like, they're
really right.
Condescending.
You're really condescending. Like, man, like nobody likes you. And I'm like, oh, wow, maybe I need to change something.
Yeah.
But I think it's super important. And kudos to you for initiating things, right? I often meet people that tell me, oh man, I want to start that podcast, start that business. I want to do that one thing. And then a year goes by, 2 years goes by. Like, do you ruminate on it a bit at all? Or do you just make the phone call? I start this coffee shop. let's start this event. I'm going to run a campaign. Like,
when I ran the campaign, I actually was lying on the couch. I won't deny this. I was laying on my couch watching TV, and my friend messaged, and we're just chit-chatting.
What were you watching?
You know what? It was one of those like blanked out watching. It's just on.
Yeah.
These are actually on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just chilling. And then she's like, yeah, you should run. I'm like, you know what? And then I looked, and all it was an email. Literally, to start a campaign, you just have to write an email to the city saying, I want to run. That's to start. So I sent it in. And that's where I just went for it. And next thing you know, because I was a city employee, suddenly everyone at the city knew. And it was going around like wildfire rumors. That. And I was like, well, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then I had to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. Like, what is my campaign to be? I don't want to be just a guy that posts photo ops with seniors. Yep. I want to, try to do something different. So yeah, and even now with coffee, we're trying to build another building behind Boxcar. We want to have ice cream and breakfast with some more apartments. And I've been talking about this for years, but hey, guess what? We finally got money. It's happened. Now we just got to go forward. And, there's always going to be a hiccup of some kind, but, I'm willing it into being okay.
Yeah. I think we all have this idea of like perfection in our heads. Like when you start, it's going to be when you walk in the coffee shop and somebody shakes your hand that recognizes your greatness. But in reality, it's just like you on the couch, just pops up in your head.
Literally.
And it's messy, but you try your best. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, at least you won't be on your deathbed regretting it, right? What if I just started that one business? What if I just did it? What if I just didn't? What if I just did it? But you did. And I'm sure you probably met so many phenomenal people along the journey.
Oh, I mean,
right.
Oh my God. I met every politician probably around. Ones that dance. Mm-hmm. Erwin comes in dancing into the coffee shop. Wow. Guys that are super hardcore serious.
Like, does he dance while he's ordering coffee?
Yeah, she'll come in dancing. That's just her jam, right?
Oh, damn.
So yeah, you get like all walks of life. And is that cringe?
Yeah.
For us, but not for them. And that's okay, right?
No,
that's cool.
Yeah.
They're not a bad dancer.
Yeah.
But, you just kind of, you like it, you go with it, you meet tons of people, and it's actually amazing because the best part is when you see people reunite that haven't seen each other for a long time, and actually organically, they're like, holy cow, you were my babysitter 20 years ago. I've actually seen that happen.
It's beautiful.
So it's just uniting. And that's the good thing about coffee shops is they're positive outcomes at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's like that friend you haven't seen in like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, and you run into someone there
it's
and
like, hey, yeah, let's hang out sometime.
Yeah.
It never happens until you see each other at coffee.
Yeah. But so, hey, guess what? I just saw Jess, I saw Jesse there. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Like it's great to catch up. How can local businesses and residents work together to make neighborhoods more connected and resilient?
Yeah, I think, whenever I think about like an abandoned building, okay, you can come together, unite on it through safety walks, through a common goal, sometimes even talking to the landlord to say, hey, is there something we can help you with to animate it, right? So, there's definitely ways that community can mobilize. Like I even in Edmonton, there's things called community leagues. Okay. So every neighborhood it's called a league. And these leagues are kind of vessels of the city of Edmonton that get money to basically community program. Okay. So I was the president of my league and, we mobilized around, there's this historic cenotaph. I care a lot about history and heritage. Okay. It's like, I'm obsessed. I have a historic house. I have a historic car. Like I'm one of those guys. I just love old stuff. And so there's a cenotaph, which is like a memorial for the vets, right? To World War II. And it was decrepit, falling apart. And we got the community to mobilize around a cause. We got the veterans, everyone involved, the senior center, and we moved it back and redid a park and we saved the cenotaph. And you can't do that if you don't have people who care, right? And you can't do that if nobody's going to mobilize and volunteer. So I think, if you get the right people in the right places, you can make positive outcomes at a neighborhood micro level.
Yeah. It's like bringing people together, right? And it's so beautiful being able to have this entire group of people, like maybe Gen Z with like boomers, right? And they all work together and they all believe in one cause and it finally comes together and it's just so miraculous. Like I just hosted a Halloween party and like people from Sherwood Park or people that I met in McEwen, some people that I invited on the bus. and people got along and people made, no, I met this one girl and I just said hi to her on the bus, like just on our one time, because I really was in a mood to talk.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, she's one of my closest friends now.
Cool.
Had I not done that, I wouldn't know her. You know, if I didn't say hi.
Did she dress up and come?
Yeah, everybody had to dress up. It was mandatory.
Cool.
But it's great. Like World War II, actually, I've consumed a lot of the books, especially with the Auschwitz and like all the Holocaust books, with the Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Read that 3-4 times. And it's great to remember kind of what happened with the tumultuous times, to be able to appreciate what we have right now. I think we live in like the best of times. What though? I don't know if you saw just yesterday, very timely, a courtroom in Nova Scotia saying that the poppy is a political symbol and you can't wear them in the courthouse. Really?
You're right. So even though we have people who've done things, there's still, misconceptions of what meanings are, right? So that's why cenotaphs or connecting or reading or understanding those things is actually so fundamental, to have the full picture of how meaningful something can be, like a poppy, like to remember stuff like that, because it's a crazy world right now, what's going on.
My poppies are there for us. I've always been wearing it since elementary. For November Remembrance Day. It's like, that's always been the case. Yeah. So some like this, just like decided to. Yeah,
it was kind of on the assumption that you don't want to be biased. So say something in the courtroom, you're wearing it, and someone's a vet, not. There's a level of bias, but a lot of people are pushing back, saying that like the poppy's like the one thing that's not biased. It's like you're honoring a vet. But these topics of conversation come up sometimes.
It's crazy, the differing opinions, right? It's, but I think social media just stretches it out too, because like the people with the worst of beliefs are there, and the best of beliefs, and they're all subjective.
Oh yeah.
But I think we talked about it earlier, like, but the truth is always in the middle.
Exactly.
It's never worst case scenario or best case scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah. In your experience, what small changes can make the biggest impact in bringing people together at the local level?
Yeah, I would say breaking down barriers of what I would say, in the beginning, I talked about that bureaucracy, right? It's like, it's like, that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? It's like, just simplify how things are done, right? Like, if I want to just have ice cream in a park, I should just be able to have ice cream in a park, right? Like, we don't have to make it into something, bigger than it is, right? Like even Remembrance Day. So Remembrance Day is on the 11th. And so my community league celebrates with a huge celebration at the cenotaph. So we have the vets come, we have different groups, they lay wreaths and poppies. It's a whole scenario. There's a marching band, there's a bagpipe guy. So it's a pretty big deal. And we've done it since 1947. Okay, just for context of how long, never got a permit, never got anything, right? And now we're being told that we need a permit in order to make sure we have an emergency response plan.
Isn't there 911? Isn't that the plan?
It's like, where do you go in the event of emergency? Do you have an eye wash station? Do you have all these things? And it's like
WMIS. You got to follow WMIS.
It's like, what?
Like, we're just trying to remember the veterans.
And like, we're outside. So guess what? If something happens, you just run any direction. Yeah. Anyways, so, we got to remove that type of stuff, because the more you create it, the less community it becomes. And when you bureaucraticize something, then you almost do it into its non-existence. And that's my fear about stuff. So it's about, grassroots is so important. You hear that word a lot. It's like grassroots approach. You hear it with the government, you hear it with city, it's about people taking control of their neighborhoods and, the process and letting some of that go, because it's better for neighborhoods, right? When you empower people to make change themselves.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you that, yes, it's a bit uptight. Like, you guys are just trying to celebrate Remembrance Day, for the veterans, because they sacrificed their lives for us to be living in peace. But the other side would argue that, what if something goes wrong? It needs to be stable. It needs to be by the book. Because if it's not by the book, things go wrong. Who's liable? We need to make sure everything's in place, the licenses. What would you say to the people because there are people that want you guys to have the permit. Otherwise, this wouldn't be implemented. When somebody thought of this and went, everybody needs to have a permit because something probably happened. Or something could happen, right? But there's 1,000 permutations and combinations. I wasn't that good at math, but I can tell you that. Like, I'll give you one example. Okay, when I was at the city, I don't know if you know the site Rosedale. Okay, down in the river valley, there's this old power plant that EPCOR managed. EPCOR gave it to the city, and there's these things called pump houses, and they would take water to the boiler hall and cool it down. Okay, simple, but they're right on the river. And there's one that had a full roof replacement. Okay. So when I was at the city, I just wanted to put people on the roof. It's right on the river. It's so cool. The view's Walterdale Bridge, the big white bridge. It's like, let's get people on the roof so they can see the river. Sounds simple, right? People are going to jump off.
Well, so first thing, I got a railing.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a ramp. I got a staircase. We can now get to the roof. So first there was the roof. Then you make the roof safe. Then you get to the roof, right? Sounds logical. Okay.
Simple. Yeah.
Then we had to just open the door, like just let people on the roof. It was like 23 different branches and approvals process internally.
Wow.
It came a point where I just actually opened the door. I was like, we just got to get this done because it's like the coolest thing in Edmonton. Sometimes you just have to do things to like prove a point, right? Like not everything we can't be so risk adverse that we risk adverse ourselves into doing nothing, because that's not progress, right?
Yeah.
And so, you look at those examples, whether it's like an emergency response plan in an open park for a cenotaph memorial, or it's using a roof that's actually totally safe. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and do it anyways, and maybe ask for forgiveness, because sometimes it usually works out. I'd say 99% of the time it's okay.
Because people have a good time after, and it's like, what are you going to ruin the fun?
Wow, this is a huge economic development potential. Let's do it. You know?
Yeah, it reminds me of a person that it's like afraid to go outside because, you could die, right? You need to stay inside, make sure everything's safe. You know? But then you're depriving yourself of human interaction, of like, maybe you need to go to the gym, of like actually getting some activity in, because you're playing it too safe. Like going back to kind of the truth, right? If you play it too safe, right? Or if you play it too dangerous, right? Those are bad. Like wear your seatbelt, and do go outside. But the truth is always in the middle. Yeah. It's like you need to be able to understand the ramifications and the consequences of inaction, because both are a choice, right? And you need to, like, sometimes you need to ask for forgiveness, as long as you're not like hurting anyone. Right? You're hosting an event, and everybody that does come to the event, they're cognizant of the risks. Like, you could slip and fall, break your back. Yeah, but like you're in there. You're not gonna sue. Like,
and for the pump house, the city has insurance. It was fine.
Yeah. That's actually a really cool idea. I'll have to.
You'll have to go down there. I'll send you a video, and you'll see how amazing it is.
Love that.
That was one of the things. If I was elected, I was like, that thing is going to get opened. Hell or dead water, and unfortunately, it's still closed. Yeah. But hey, maybe it will be. Yeah. Maybe there's someone out there that's going to champion internally.
Yeah, I love that. And it seems like you have all these ideas, right? With the coffee shop, running a campaign, and that getting on the roof and looking at the view. Like, how do you go about getting these ideas? Like, do you meditate? Do you have it in your dream? Like Paul McCartney got yesterday. He just woke up and he wrote down yesterday. I don't know if you heard about that.
So I'm a planner, okay? Like, I'm a city planner, and so I'm always thinking, like, what's the best for the community? Okay, you're trained that way, and I always grew up that way, right? I'm also nostalgic. Like, I love the past. And so when I do a lot of things, or when I think about a lot of things, I'm like, how's it going to better the neighborhood? How's this going to preserve or talk about something, and is it cool? Because like, it's got to be cool, but also it's also like, is there an I'm also an economist, man. I have a finance background. Ooh. And so, like I'm like, we can plan with a fiscal mindset, so having a roof open on the river valley is a huge economic boom. I think it would be the best thing in the city. People would be shocked. They'd be lining up to go there. I can guarantee you. Okay.
Hey, maybe that's the next business idea. Eh?
Oh man, I want to have my coffee shop there. So
coffee shop on the roof.
Can't put it on the roof, but could have it there, and people can go enjoy weddings. So that's what I would say. It's like I think about things that are going to better Edmonton and our experience, because Edmonton's a great place, and there's lots of amazing things to see, but there's little opportunities and pockets to make it even better.
Yeah, it's which school did you go to?
So I went to the U of L in Lethbridge for econ, and then I went out east to do an MA in econ.
Ooh.
And then I did post-batch planning in Toronto. And then I did heritage conservation, a graduate certificate at UVic. So it kind of did you don't need that much, FYI. Okay, it did nothing
you're
for
just really
me.
passionate.
What a waste. After I did pay off my student loans.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it taught me, school teaches you great things, right? Obviously you need it just to ground you in like what's going on in the world. But yeah, I had great experiences, and I got to travel a lot of places, and then I end up in Edmonton because that's the only place where there's jobs.
Yeah. I mean, you said you were very into history.
Yes.
Did you minor in history at all? Or? No,
I like more like the built form of history. Like I grew up in Southern Alberta, and my dad worked on a grain elevator.
Okay.
They're mostly demolished now, unfortunately, but like with the trains and nostalgia. So boxcars named after train. I actually have a house that's historically protected, and it's built out of a boxcar. Like imagine how resilient people were in 1931 that they could take a train and build a house. Now we can barely build houses in Edmonton. They just go up with, garbage materials, no offense. Yeah. But, so I just love what a lot of historical times represented about our society, right? And it was very much more, you can live somewhere, you build with intent, you live with, the intention to live long term, but we've morphed into disposal, we've morphed into moving lots. And I just don't know if that's the best thing. So when I see opportunities like a rooftop on a pump house that's historically significant, it's a way to blend them, right? It's a way for someone to value the past, but also have a modern future about what's actually happening on the site.
That's awesome. How can the city of Edmonton improve transparency and rebuild public trust in its decision-making processes?
Ooh, there's a lot there. Okay. So I was at the city a long time. I was like in real estate and in parks and roads, always the business side of government operations. Okay. So right now, if you just Googled a project, let's talk about Ironworks building. It's a beautiful historic downtown building. You'll probably check it out after. It's pretty cool. If you just Googled it, it'll say it's on time, on budget. Okay, great. But the reality is it's not on budget or on time. But the city reports it that way because of a weird reporting thing internally. So from a transparent point of view, just knowing if something's on budget, the city can't tell you that. So you're like, okay, is that building transparency? Like, is that how you build trust, right? Because there's a lot of sentiment out there that government's corrupt, right? Or the government's not helping you or whatever, right?
Well, the number one, most distrusted role is politicians,
Yeah, right? Uh-huh. And so if you think about this micro example, the simplest thing, you have a project, it has a budget. If we can't even report that, then there's no trust. And so you have to build that and demand it. And so when I was on my campaign, because I was kind of like an insider, I wasn't at the city in my campaign. I left, but I knew a lot and I knew where to look. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start like challenging the city on accountability. And it got me wicked views. I got really good on Instagram. Okay, that was awesome. Did I make friends? No. Some of the city people got pretty mad at me because I started to expose the truth. But it's the only way that things change. And some of the things that I actually post about changed in the city for a better outcome. They started to follow up. They started to write briefing notes. They started to do communications. Like some of my posts, a restaurant closed, got kicked out by the city. My post found them a new spot. So there's positive outcomes that happen, or the city worked with them again.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think as the city will only change if the citizens demand change, right? I don't think people sit around saying, how am I going to make life better for everybody else? I think it's just a beast that's hard to manage. But you can push for change as a group of people.
Yeah. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still tying its shoes.
Yeah.
Right? Like with a lie, like you can get things done quicker, but
Yeah.
it's for the short term. You're sacrificing long-term fulfillments, long-term
Yep.
trust. But when you expose the truth, there's like a lot of backlash, right?
Yeah.
You put this in the individual level, right? When you're truly honest with your friends, some people are just not gonna like you for it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna experience a lot of discomfort. But over time you realize that, oh, Jesse's a person I can trust because he says the truth, even if it's not something that I want to hear.
Yeah.
Right. Even if he gets a lot of hate for it, he still goes by and says and there's a lot of risk involved, right? There's your reputation involved, like how other people treat you. It's like, oh, but that's for the initial side of things. Later on, right, it actually causes change. Like often the tumultuous times with telling the truth, it's usually at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you just gotta keep on going.
You're right, actually. And that's a great comment because even in the beginning, when I ran for council, I had some forces against me, man. They were gunning hard for me, okay, for the jugular.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. In the beginning, I was like really thin-skinned and I was like taking it really personally. But then as I went on, I got super thick-skinned and I was excited for
you kind of like the hate.
I was like, feed me. It was giving me content. I realized I needed it.
Yeah.
But what I witnessed is now I've become credible. Like people, like just today before this, the media is like, can I talk to you about something you posted? So they're seeing me as viable or at least opposite of what's being said because hey, like we said earlier, there's a truth, there's a lie, and there's a middle. And so it's good to have balanced approach to everything. So, it was tough in the beginning, but I think, telling the truth is so important and it does pay off in the long run.
Yeah. I think growing up, like I've always lied. I don't know, just like to my friends, like I'm like, yeah, I got a girl here. You don't know her name, goes to another school, right? I did this. I'm really cool. But then it's just, I made a habit of it and I would just like lie and say I was there when I wasn't at certain times. And it just it made everything murky in my perception because now I couldn't even trust myself.
Yeah.
And you put it at like a local scale. It's like you put it in the business scale. It's like, how do you trust this business? Because everything starts from the top, right? When you walk into a job site, like let's say it's Starbucks, right? And you can tell just the atmosphere, the workers.
You couldn't use Boxcar?
Boxcar. That's true. I had the perfect opportunity. Let's say I walk in there and everybody's in a grumpy mood.
Yeah.
Like usually that's a result from someone from the top. And it all trickles down.
True. Yeah.
And I find because I've worked with various companies and I find that when the people are happy at the bottom, like the frontline workers, and then I meet kind of the executives, it's usually matches up with the way their demeanor and the way they go about things.
Yeah.
And that's all about like telling the truth, right? And not giving into your emotions. Yes, negativity does happen, but still like amidst that, like still going by kind of your values and not just going about it and giving into your emotions. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, and thanks for being honest about lying.
Yeah.
I think most people wouldn't say that. So good on you.
No, I feel like this podcast I've tried to do the vulnerable route. Like people are scared to admit mistake, but I think people can change. Like I think, and you can forgive yourself. I know that's a big thing too. And people are very hard. We're all very hard on ourselves.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's in my family. We're very. It's been very tough, like growing up. But I think with the truth, it has set us free. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. What role should citizens play in holding their local governments accountable beyond just voting every 4 years?
Yeah. So apathy's high, man. Did you vote, by the way?
I did.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Actively.
You're not lying? You're not lying?
I'm not lying.
Okay.
I did try to vote in Edmonton too, but they wouldn't let me
No,
because
you
I'm
can't.
Sherwood
Nice
Park.
try though.
I tried because like I really wanted to vote.
Yeah, you got to do it local, man. But
No.
voting's important, but apathy's high. A lot of people
Yeah.
feel that their voices don't matter, and votes actually really matter, right? The ridings get down to 5 votes. Okay, some can win or lose, so it's fundamental. Okay, so please vote, as long as the city makes it easy for you. But in between, I would say most people, they're quick to say something online, but not necessarily to put, I'd say proof in the pudding, and really, go to a meeting, go to challenge something at City Hall. The way I can talk about the city level, the way city does consultation is brutal, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a council meeting in Sherwood Park, but
I
like,
have.
at the City of Edmonton, you got to go downtown, you got to pay for parking, you got to wait for a meeting that you don't even know what time it's at for hours on end in a thing to then be told it's the next day. Right. The transparency is brutal from City Hall. And that was one of the things I was hoping to advocate for, because I think, as a council and as an administrative team, you're sitting there doing your thing. Okay, great. But the citizens taking time off work, they're getting childcare, they're doing all these things. And you're like, you can't even support them on that front. So how do you expect them to do it, in a greater sense? So in this, since my campaign, I had a lot of people reach out. I think after I lost, that was sucky. But after I lost, it was like, I think I had over 1,400 messages of people saying, are you done? Are you going to continue? Like, what are we going to do? Right. And I was like, at one point I was like, yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up. But then I was like, hey, actually people care and want some support. Like, this is like important.
I think it's not just you that lost. It's like your entire community who voted for you.
Yeah. Like, people were stopping me on the street and they're like, I'm so sorry you lost. And I was like, oh, the election was like 2 weeks ago, man. I'm over it. Like, move on. But they weren't moving on. They were still like, so yeah, people like, we had an injury at our school. Someone crossing the road. Can you come and do a post on it? And guess what? The city's doing something about it. I had that restaurant. Please help me. The city's kicking me out. I did a post on it. Guess what? The restaurant got helped. So these are, and it's like an indirect for grass movements where, if you push against it and you get enough voices, it's like squeaky wheel. Unfortunately, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but it's helped, at least in my sphere, for how people advocate for change. Because if you have enough, people caring about something, usually a city will pay attention, right? It's the mass. So that's at least been my journey in the short term.
Yeah, I love that squeaky wheel analogy. Like, if you got a voice, like if you're loud enough, like granted it's not obnoxious and you're not hurting anyone. Yeah. Right. If you tell people what's going on with you, people will help. Like, I find that like we're all so, like sometimes like we're too nice. We're like, oh, we don't want to inconvenience people. It's like, we don't want to, our problems are our own problems. But come to find out, the freedom is actually in helping other people, and people, like, being in service to other people, like helping other people. I find that when you're helping someone, it actually does more for you than the person being helped. I don't know. Yeah. Like, the people that I've been there for when they call me up, like some of my friends when they're struggling, or when I see someone that I'm at the gym with, and usually the demeanor is uplifted and they're smiling, but for some reason their mood's kind of down. I'm like, hey, I'm checking up on you, and then turns out maybe a family member died, or there's like a cancer diagnosis, and like just talking to them for 5 minutes, like, just makes me it sounds I don't know, it sounds selfish, but at the same time we're all looking out for ourselves. But like, helping, the freedom is serving other people. Yeah. And I'm sure you feel that too when you bring people's voices to light. Kind of feel that sense of, wow, like I helped someone. This is great. You want to keep doing it. And
there was a guy that was running at the same time as me, and he was in another ward, and I don't know, I just felt he was such a nice guy. He was so genuine, and I think he was in it for his heart. There's some people in it for ego. You
can tell.
But he was in it for heart, and I would always check in on him. He didn't win, and some rough stuff's happened since then. He's lost his job, and but I don't even know the guy, but he's like, oh, actually, if it wasn't for you, I don't think I could have made it through the election. I was like, oh my God, like. Yeah. So yeah, those little meaningful connections really do help for people, because like you just don't know what support systems people have, right?
Yeah. There's this I do a bunch of like TikTok stuff. Like
Yeah.
I could say I'm like a TikTok guy on campus because I do like challenges and stuff.
Okay.
Like me just doing silly stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a whole culture. There's not that many of us, but I do bring to light, like I do share people's stuff and I uplift people when they want to be filmed, and I'm constantly in contact with them, trying
Good.
to uplift them, and it's positive. Then there's this one guy that randomly messaged me, and he's I comment on all his stuff, and I noticed he's stopped posting in a while, and I still like all his videos still get recommended to me because the algorithm knows I like local, so I'm always commenting on Edmonton stuff. And he just messaged me 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Hey man, I'm going through a lot of health issues right now, and it's really changed my perspective onto life because he's always been a healthy guy, but this health issue just completely did a 180 on him, and he had to drop all his classes." And he just said, "Hey man, like those comments, like those silly comments that you do leave, like the likes, it has really, really helped me out." And I'm like, wow. And he wrote this entire nice paragraph, and I'm like, wow, I just wanted to support you, you know? And then I called him up, and then we had this heart-to-heart talk onto like his condition and how he's getting better. But yeah, he was like these massive headaches. I'm like, I didn't know, like just 30 seconds of my day commenting would leave like such an immense impact.
How come you haven't been commenting on all my stuff?
I'm going to start now. And you better like it. Or then I'll start leaving hate comments.
I have enough of those.
From your time working inside city operations, what are some areas where accountability often slips through the cracks?
Okay. Yeah, like this is a bit of an inside thing, but you have a council, right? Like how a city operates as a council manages the city. Okay, all the budgets, snow, building new stuff. Cool, great. Then you have an administration that also has their own agenda, right? They might want you to do this, even though council wants this. And so there's always this natural conflict internally with council to basically either not tell them the full story or direct them in a way that's in your vested interest. Plus you have just people who don't want to do work and change. Change is hard for people. So you have council that wants something, but you have a group of people that are like, I don't want to change, so I'm going to say something's not possible. So that was always a real challenge in the city, right? Because you might want to champion something like that rooftop, something simple like getting a roof animated, but you're up against a lot of barriers, right? And so that's a pretty tricky thing about the city of Edmonton and working internally.
Yeah. Do you think people are just, since those systems worked for them and they're just like comfortable in their own position, they don't want anything to change? Do you think that's the result of that?
I worry a lot about, like there's, in business, if you've taken some business classes, there's the agile model and there's all these, double diamond and how you take people on journey mapping and changes, right? But this government is a very union focused organization. And my biggest worry about unions, at least in Edmonton, is the unwillingness to change. Because with AI and like just stuff coming down the pipe, I think we're naive to think everything's just going to be peaches and cream for the rest of our lives, right? Because I sincerely worry about the way workforce is going. I worry about, but you have people clenching their fists to like what's status quo. And I just don't know if that's realistic for government because things are moving fast and they're going to move fast. And even in the federal government, I don't know if you watch it, but there was like a federal budget released, and liberal governments tend to be very union focused, but guess what? They're laying off 20% of their employees because of AI. And so you can be as union focused as you want and say all these things, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to adapt and change, then you want to be in control of AI, not sacrificed on its behalf. And so it is about unwillingness to change and be agile. And I always said that to employees and the city, but it's tough. It's a beast. It's a big organization.
Yeah. AI is coming and it's coming in heavy.
Did you get the robot that helps you with your tasks?
We have the Roombas. Okay. We got like,
you don't have that standing one that can put your dishes away?
If my dad can afford it, he would. We got solar. We've got Roombas. He's always like purchasing these things. We have the automatic light.
You're not worried about a corporate overlord?
Oh man, I'm super worried, but he doesn't. My dad is very pro
Yeah,
technology,
yeah.
and we've all kind of just adopted that as a family. Like pro Chat GPT,
Okay.
pro like I'm sure if there was a chip that came out and it was
Uh-oh.
yeah, I'm
You
sure
put it
my
in your head or
my
your
dad
hand?
would probably make all of us do
Digital
it.
currency.
But yeah, it is coming, and it's with the inception of ChatGPT, it's very prevalent on U of A. And like, if you're not keeping up with it, especially if you're like a professor, these kids will find a way to just go through all the work and have in 10 seconds, right? Because I can tell now, since I use it so much, you need to be able to like use it as a tool as well, and you need to adopt with the times.
Yeah, because it's wrong a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you think you're doing yourself a disservice by using it?
To an extent, yes. If you're letting an essay write the whole thing for you and then boom, but that's how you get caught though.
Yeah, yeah.
Is if you don't actually like AI, you can tell it's AI because you put it in like AI detector, it just says 100%.
Yeah.
But if you actually have your own idea and it's a way to supplement it, to complement it, your writing is just so much better.
Yeah.
But like a lot of kids, like with anything, right? A lot of people just abuse it.
Yeah.
And there's
future workforce.
There are some people that have passed certain classes and it's an A because of ChatGPT. And I'm not even saying because it complemented it, but ChatGPT's done the work.
Hopefully they're not
for
the
them.
Doctors.
Yeah. Could you imagine heart surgery?
And the engineers.
It's like ChatGPT.
It's only a structure. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they work on it. They learn on the job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's like anything, right? Usually the truth is in the middle.
Exactly.
The way you use this stuff. What do you think? Do you use ChatGPT?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I use it for everything. I won't lie, but it's never right.
I hope you didn't ChatGPT our messages.
Yeah, it's auto, man.
Yes. Could you imagine just like a yes response, ChatGPT reply? Yes.
I think you can do that.
You can.
Yeah, you can do that. I use it, to formulate thoughts, like to find stuff, but like numbers, it's really bad at. There's a lot of things that you test it to learn and to learn what you can trust, right? Because if I relied on ChatGPT to find information, I would be cooked.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
it depends which facet of life. Because if you relied on it for human connection, good luck and how to talk to people. Because there's like it doesn't understand sarcasm.
There was that South Park episode where Cartman talked just through ChatGPT and it escalated out of control, right? So yeah, no, you can't rely on it, but it's definitely a tool that I think is valuable. And actually, at the city, it's interesting because I manage all the city's leases and properties as my team, and used to be like, hey, there's an issue, a tenant has an issue, who's responsible? In the past, you'd have to read this 30-page lease and put in ChatGPT.
Boom,
2 seconds.
It. Yeah.
So that's a job I'd worry about. But are they adapting? No. But hey, that's just me. I would recommend it,
Yeah. I use it for events, like if what's going on in Edmonton, and then boom, I already know everything that's going on in Edmonton in 10 seconds versus having to Google and click on the websites. Yeah. Because I love going to events, like to interview people and just to be actively involved, go back to community. Yeah. And to learn about history, the different cultures, business events. Yep. It all plugs it in there and then posts like the most popular ones. Why do you believe preserving Edmonton's historical character is essential to shaping its future identity?
Yeah, like I think identity is all we have, right? Like it's what roots us and grounds us in our communities, right? I find it ironic that people travel the world to see beautiful things and yet we just destroy it here. And it just doesn't make sense to me, right? Like I have a historic house and it's very modest. It's like a little bungalow. And even when I wanted to get it protected, I initiated it. Okay, this was like 2016. But Edmonton's obsessed with, the ominous they, think heritage is just big mansions in Glenora. But heritage is it transcends the built form. It's contextual, it's association, it's landscape. Even that cenotaph I talked about earlier, we got designated and protected as a cultural heritage landscape, which means it's setting, it means it can change over time. That's what you value, right? And so when I look at Edmonton, I worry about, we say things as a city a lot like housing crisis. You hear that all the time. We're in a housing crisis, right? But what's happened is we've started to demolish community at the expense of housing, but it's at the expense of our identity and our context, right? So there, again, I go back to that famous planner, Jane Jacobs. She says, eyes on the street, the safest street, and build in human scale, right? But what we're building is these monolithic blocks where bedrooms don't even have windows. Okay. And it's like, is that what we want for our future? You think about typology, mental health, having windows in a bedroom, I think is a fundamental thing you probably need, right?
Andrew Huberman talks about the circadian rhythm, and morning sunlight. You need that.
Yes.
Or else if you don't have morning sunlight, then your body's not going to be able to regulate itself.
Yeah.
Lack of sleep leads to mental health issues. And how are you going to be there for your kids? And it's just like this, just puts windows, and like the way you preserve just mental health is like through just reinforcing certain values in Edmonton.
So imagine the city of Edmonton said we don't need windows in bedrooms.
That's screwed up.
It's an extreme that needs to end. And so you look at these things, and I get we need to house the people. I'm not disputing that at all, but it can't be at the expense of how we live. It can't be at the expense of our neighborhoods. And it can't be expensive context, because when you go to these neighborhoods, they had value at their certain times. People value them for what they are. And, we can build in a sustainable, and I don't sustainable for environmental, but like sustainable as in contextual, and modest way without destroying our context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To go about it and actually maybe talk to the people that you're implementing these to, instead of just like, I think this is a great idea, and not asking, like at least have a survey. You know?
We used to plan so intentionally. Like we used to be so neighborhood focused. We would do these area structure plans, and then we eroded it, and we did blanket zoning. And what's so ironic about neighborhoods is like, we're in a neighborhood right now, and your neighborhood may or may not have an identity of its own, right? But every neighborhood, might have a park, you might have a feature, you might have a housing look or something, right? And then if we say everything's one size fits all, then we're all just turning into robots. Okay. Our neighborhoods are becoming too mono. And I think it's important for just our mental health and how we are as a society to preserve what's of the past, because that's what roots us in our identity. Yeah,
true. It's good to be able to know kind of how this all came together, and even with the neighborhoods, right? And even in Sherwood Park, Summerwood's got its own identity.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got
the identity?
The design, like the way the certain families, it's more family oriented. There's more dogs. It's more friendly. People wave to each other.
Yeah.
Versus I go to certain neighborhoods, it's more kind of like a working class. Maybe it's like for the single people. And it's just the when you care about your neighborhood, like, the quality just goes up. And I find that when there's a smaller population, it's easier to manage, right? There's people feel a lot more connected. And as Sherwood Park grows, I find that it becomes more disconnected, I find. Because growing up here, the population was around like 60, 70,000, like when I migrated all the way from the Philippines. Now it's over 100,000. And even in Edmonton, right? It was, I think Andrew Knack said, was it 2 or 4 years? But within that time frame, it was like 400,000 people. And it's like that doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot, right? And as a city grows, it's just harder to manage, and it's hard to regulate. And
that's why it's more important to preserve, because imagine next door to you that that house is demolished, and you put up a 10-unit complex with no door facing the road. And, you don't know who's living in there, and everyone has no windows. Is that what you want in your neighborhood? Like, just from you're not going to create neighborhood connection. And that's why identity and context is so important, because if I told you that we were going to do that here, you'd probably be like, that's not possible. We're not going to do that here. Well, in Edmonton, we're doing it. And it's too far and not ideology, just too far in a concept about like corralling people into spaces because we say we need something, but we can't define it. And it's really important to define things when we say them. So
Yeah.
even to Knac's comment about the population, I have yet to see a single figure that says we've had that many people. People keep saying it, but we can't even confirm where people moved or who's confirming these numbers.
That's true.
You know,
Like that is,
I take it with a grain of
Yeah.
salt.
yeah. Where it's like, how do you classify someone as moving to Edmonton? Like, where
Yeah.
does that come from? The studies, I guess, like,
I actually studied
Yeah.
labor economics, which was
Mhm.
which sounds really boring. Okay, it is boring. Don't ever do
Right.
it. But it was about migration to and from Alberta.
yeah,
Like I literally studied that. Like, and so when I ran my campaign, you run an award, and the city says, "Oh, there's X amount of people in the ward." But that number doesn't exist. You can't find the number. And then you hear, "Oh, we've had 2 cities of Red Deer move." And it's like, well, if we can't even confirm where people are living, how can we confirm we've had 120 more people? Part of me thinks it's like, is it true? Is it media? Anyways, again, truth
Yeah.
lie, there's like a
how
middle.
would you go about identifying like the
You need a
actual
census.
population?
You need like
Yeah.
a legit census. You need
Yeah, that takes a lot of money here and
an
time.
effort. You need a lot of effort. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Have they done a census in Edmonton recently?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
No.
Yeah,
I
they
guess
need
you could
to.
figure it out through driver's license, through Service
I
Alberta.
guess.
I guess
But
there's
even
ways.
then, like there's still a lot of like, how do you like? Does everybody have their license? And what about kids? What about?
Like I drive
Yeah.
around Edmonton. I'm a North Sider, which is pretty chill to get around. It's not that bad. I feel zero impact of population increase. And yet we've had 2 Red Deers, and I'm like, well, where is everyone? Because like I still get to the store the same amount of time. My coffee shop's the same amount of growth. Like, so is it true? Like, so we say there's a housing crisis and we have a population boom, but there's no numbers around it and we can't define it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting concept.
That's definitely changed my mind onto viewing like population growth and like statistics.
I'm only an economist, man.
Because I've never like actually questioned it. I kind of just look at that and go, oh, cool. Like I never really went, but how did they actually go about finding that number, and who decided this? Is there like a scientific, like what's that like steps process?
Like, is there a radar at the border that you drive across it and it tells you your name there? Like, I don't think so.
So how can the city balance modern development with the protection of its cultural and architectural heritage?
Like, from a really serious intervention way, you can protect like systemically, right? So like when you go to Ontario, what's really interesting is they have a very progressive historic approach to things and preservation. So say you've maybe been to Glenora or Highlands in Edmonton, you could just say, hey, this area is protected. The only way to do anything is to get a permit, a heritage permit. So you could go extreme and do stuff like that. Edmonton, Alberta, we're very big on property rights. We're big on things like that, just the nature of how our province is. So it might be a bit harder unless you had a pretty progressive council. But then when you think about, you need to define or what is the goal you're trying to achieve. So when you look at Edmonton, there's like a city plan. It says 50% of development is supposed to be in a mature area, which is important because we don't want to sprawl forever. We don't want to sprawl into Sherwood Park, right? And so, they're trying to curb that because it's costly to maintain things long term, right? A road costs money, from maintenance and capital, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to get infill, but it's like, what is the goal? So when you go back to data, 120,000 people moved here, whatever, 2 Red Deers. It's like, did they? Show me. Second, where do we want to put them? And how do we build policies around making sure it's in the right spots? So, we have, I'm sure you've been to Northlands. I'm sure you've been to Blatchford. All these mega sites in the city that we can build on, yet they're not getting built on. Instead, we're sacrificing our neighborhoods that are already existing, that have identities. And it's like, is that really the solution that we want to achieve? So if I was a counselor or I was admin, I'd be looking at that and I'd be thinking, let's try to direct development to the certain better places that are going to achieve greater outcomes, right? Because destroying a house here beside a historic house there, and creating that animosity and that broken context in the street, all to achieve an objective, when you can get it on a site that's vacant, it's going to be better for everyone in the long run, right? You can direct planning in a different way. So I think, it just takes a bit of creativity that, council, I think, just needs to define what they're trying to achieve, and direct in a more adequate way to save our past.
Yeah, that way you can also allocate kind of the right leaders for it, and you're not just bombarding people with already an existing kind of local environments, right? With new people, and it's like when you have that many people, it's just harder to manage. And
you just look even the environment, right? Like, you look at a neighborhood has lots of trees, and then there's permeable land, there's flood issues, and you put up a massive building beside a little house, and you cut all the trees, and you get rid of all the grass, and it's concrete.
Yeah.
And then you're like, suddenly there's flooding happening. Neighborhoods are getting, all these every decision you make as a politician or as a city really impacts people in the long run. And you can't sacrifice, it's very hard because when something's happening next to you, you're seen as a NIMBY. There's a word, not in my backyard, right? It's a term. You're seen as, oh, you just don't want progress, right? But all these little micro examples add up to a greater impact for everyone, right? Property values, community connection, all these like natural organic things that happen. And so if you kind of erode that, it's like death from 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And, I think, and on top of it, you erode heritage and value and context and identity. Then in the end, what's it all for? You're just living in this city, isolated in a building with no windows.
Yeah, you need meaning. You need people to believe.
Neighborhoods have to be built with intention.
Yeah,
it's very important we think that way, because otherwise, we're just living our lives for what purpose?
Yeah, nothing, just floating. It's like, yeah. If only the Lorax is real, man. Like, don't cut the trees.
Yeah,
they showed us that the Lorax like 10 times in elementary. It's like ingrained in my head. Yeah,
it's true though. And can you imagine we're cut in Edmonton? We're losing more trees than we're planting because of infill, and that's not a joke. Like, this is legit. Like, it's concerning because, hey, I want to breathe in the future, don't you?
Exactly.
And it's not, you look out your window, you get a tree. It adds a lot of value to your life.
Exactly. And it's just like, I'm not a tree hugger, but I do appreciate my trees. I'll just look at a tree and it's just gives me joy sometimes.
There you go.
It's like something about nature too. It's got those healing effects.
Nature, when you talk about Alzheimer's and like long-term brain degradation, they say routine kills you, right? It's one of the things that's going to kill you when you get older. And complexity is what your brain needs. And the most complex thing you can have is walking in nature.
Yeah.
And so if we're taking away nature from people, who live in neighborhoods at the expense of housing, which we can't define, there's health impacts too, right? Like all these little things add up, and we got to think like, we got to build neighborhoods that make sense for people. We got to get people out of isolation, care about our heritage, care about our past, and make it green, because those are the things that are valuable.
Yeah. I've been to New York versus I've gone to Banff, and I'm just happier being in Banff. I don't know what it is. Like, and it's just, I guess maybe it's like the travel, maybe it's too far away, but then I've also been to Australia, and
wow, you're very well traveled.
Yeah, a little bit. I do my traveling. And whenever there's nature, like, and I've been to this Sydney part, or not Sydney, but this city in Perth, and I just feel happier when there's green, when there's nature all around. And then the cities that I've been to, like in Perth, like they do a good job with still having trees all around, like cool little parks, and even going around Brundle Park, right? When there's green involved, I just feel a lot more free. I feel there's like less chaos. Yeah,
and even like some cities, like Boston, I think it's in Boston, if you're building high density in the middle of a neighborhood, say next door to your house here, right? And if you're going to build a certain number of density, you have to put a pocket park in somewhere else, or you have to upgrade the amenity nearby, put more trees in a park or add a playground, because we can't expect that all these people are just going to naturally be fine for that exact purpose that you're talking about, right? Like it's the mental, it's the connection and all those things. But in Edmonton, we don't do that either. So there's a lot of things we can do. We can achieve growth we can achieve density to save money, but we can also achieve greening and we can achieve better places for people to live. It's just right now we're missing a couple of those key elements.
Are there particular Edmonton landmarks or neighborhoods that you think tell the most powerful stories about who we are as a city?
There's a lot of those, okay. And a lot of them have been lost. I'm obsessed with Rosedale Power Plant, okay. I don't know if you ever check London, there's old power plants that have been converted into housing and markets and huge economic drivers, right? So when I talk about economics and like development, I think it's like an untapped market. And I look down at the River Valley. The River Valley's great, but there's next to no amenities down there. Like, I think there's a bathroom in Rundle Park, but like when you think about eating, recreation, just stuff to do on the River Valley, it's really untapped in my opinion. And Rosedale is really unique. It does have an Indigenous history, like a pretty famous, not famous for that reason, but a challenging site because of an Indigenous past. But there's an opportunity to blend that and make it into something truly amazing. So I think to myself, like last year, the city built a bike lane that goes from downtown to, I think, whatever the city is north of Edmonton, Fort Sask. Okay. Mm-hmm. For $45 million. A lot of money. Mm-hmm. Now, you could have biked before through another path, but we wanted this bike lane on this route. I'm not saying it's not necessary. I'm not saying it's not beautiful. But when you think about priorities and return on investment, we could have invested in Rosedale. We could have converted that humongous, beautiful plant into an economic, cultural hub. We could have animated the landscape. We could have made Edmonton a destination. Because when I think about when my family visits me in Edmonton, I'm always like, where am I going to take them?
Galaxy Land.
Yeah, it's like there's no roller coaster anymore.
Yeah, they took it down.
Like I always think, where do you take them? I would like the streetcar on top of taking the streetcar across. But like, we don't have truly iconic, interesting places. Downtown, I'm not taking them down. Maybe the Hotel McDonald's cool, but the rest, it's a little rough right now. I don't know if you've been down there. I don't know if
your parents would like downtown. Like, I don't know.
So I'll ask you, where would you take your parents if you were to go to Edmonton?
Probably West Ed. Maybe take them to WEM. Maybe I'll take them, show them around campus.
Okay, U of A is beautiful. That's valid.
Beautiful.
Do they have walking tours of U of A? Do you know?
Walking tours here and there if you like schedule an appointment.
There's walking tours? Okay.
Yeah. Walk in? No,
walking,
I don't know.
Like where this, like, someone will take people on a tour of the U of A campus.
Actually, not that I know of.
That's
but
something
I know
you should
there's some
start.
for students. That's cool. Might just do that.
Like a money opportunity, bro.
Yeah. That'd be really good. Could do that. Could start my own service. Probably campus. I guess White Ave in the morning.
In the morning?
In the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, some cool spots there.
So think about that. Like a mall.
Yeah.
You didn't say the River Valley, which is iconic.
Well, in the summer, but not in the winter. I can't.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's no amenity. I guess you could ski down there.
Yeah.
So you look at all those things, and in my mind, we have an opportunity that's very historic, amazing to see, has an economic opportunity, would be great for Edmonton, and would become a destination. And that's what I love about the power plant. And that's one of those places in Edmonton that I think are untapped potential.
Yeah. I want Edmonton to have like a Golden Gate Bridge one day. You know what I mean? Or like, not exactly a bridge, but like something where it's like people go like an Eiffel Tower type deal. Because we don't really have that. Like when people say Edmonton, like, what's there to see? I attend a lot of events. There's always something that I can find in Edmonton. I love Edmonton. I love Sherwood Park, but we don't really have like a tourist attraction. We don't really have.
The rail yards on the Yellowhead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so CN manages those, and CN is like a god in government. Okay, they're above all authorities.
I'm invested. I'm
in CN.
Canadian, like the railway.
Yeah. Oh, you have stocks and stuff?
Like a little bit. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
It's a good call because they're literally, they're good. They're not going anywhere.
No, they're not.
So they have this water building.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an old water tower.
Yeah.
And it waters it. But there's actually a view deck in this building, and it's like 10 stories high. And all I want to do, I think to myself, wouldn't it be so cool if we could work with CN to just get people to get a path to charge $5. They go to the top and they have a lookout tower over an active rail yard in the middle of Edmonton.
Ooh,
Views of downtown.
that'd be beautiful.
Like stuff like that. Like
you
that.
even bungee jump off of there too.
Maybe not like
Parachute.
West Dead. You definitely love Wham. Holy.
Yeah.
But no, like you need those little really iconic things, because it's like when you come to Edmonton, what are those showstoppers that you say? And even my coffee shop, I know it's very micro, but I always want it to be like, if someone visited Edmonton and they loved coffee, it's like, oh, you have to go to these 3 places, one being Boxcar. And that's when you've made it, at least in some kind of industry.
Yeah.
That's just my, that's what I would love to see. Our next building, we're going to build a building behind. It's going to have a rooftop patio with views of downtown.
Yeah, you should open up in Sherwood Park. I'll help you.
Okay, we can talk after. Sure.
Come on, Sherwood Park after. There's your competitor would be Rosie. Not Rosie's. Roasty.
Also,
yes.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude Coffee out in Sherwood Park. Shout out to Gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
They actually trained us at Boxcar.
Oh wow.
And Roasty helped us a little bit too.
Oh wow.
Coffee shops are pretty united.
Oh really? They're united.
Yeah.
Is like the culture is like a rising
like
tide lifts all boats.
I'm actually going to go to Gratitude after this and get a coffee.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know about coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like, what about like the restaurant business? Are they all nice to each other?
I think so. Coffee is kind of a weird, they want you to succeed. It's very neighborly.
Pretty niche though, like coffee.
It is.
Coffee. Yeah.
Restaurants, I don't know. I would assume they kind of have like a helpful environment.
Because I always figured like business, like dog eat dog world culture, right? Like customers come into my business is less customers for you.
Yeah.
I know, but it seems like you said that a rising tide lifts all boats mentality.
Yeah, coffee's people want you to succeed because trust me, just fun fact, don't open up a restaurant if you want to retire, okay? Bad business model. It's tough. Okay, margins are tight. All I care about is employing people and making the city better. But restaurants are very tough, and coffee shops are really hard too, because you got a lot of overhead and you got wages, and you're selling coffees at low price, even though they're high now. But yeah, just, so you have to be supportive of each other as a unit. Like, it's fundamental that the industry connects, because that's the only way sometimes, it gets tough. Those dark days in December, January, when no one's going out for coffee because it's cold, you're like, oh God, what did I do? Then come summer, it's like you're rejoicing in heaven because people are piling in the doors, but it's like a roller coaster, right?
And how do you go about with the down times though? Like when business isn't going good?
Oh, I micromanage my staff. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, get to work.
Get to work and send them home early.
It's very stressful. I hate sending people home early. I can't do it, man. I just feel like, it does stress me out, because I'm like, labor in a restaurant is tight with ops costs, right? You're looking at it, and if your numbers are down, you're just seeing labor skyrocket, and you're like, oh God, right? Like, but I feel like it's all these guys have. Like, they're just making low money. They don't do too bad. Like my coffee shop, we pay a living wage, like whatever the living wage is in Edmonton. But I feel bad about that type of stuff. But it's during slow times, you're very clean, and also you're very creative. Okay. So you're trying to just make up amazing things. Luckily in restaurant world, there's a lot of influencers out there. So they come in and they give you little boosts here and there. Some of them want to be paid. Some of them want to be fed. Okay. So sometimes you feed them. I don't pay them. We don't need to be paid. Boxcar's got 23K views. We're pretty good on,
yeah, you guys be fine.
We build pretty fine. But it does, I just worry about paying people. And we've been very lucky where we've never had to dip in or anything. We've always been able to pay our staff.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's I can see it being, a national level business. Why not?
Yeah, it's possible. But I always say, can you emulate an experience? Because when you go to a place, we've been offered to go to a lot of places. There's like, actually at Nate, there's that old curling club, and it's being converted into a hospital, not a hospital, but like a little physio place. And they wanted us to open there, which is great. I knew the guy, but it was like utility. It was like coffee as an exercise, not as an experience. It's like coffee, just repeat.
We don't want that. You need to add meaning to it.
Like, our coffee shop has a beautiful courtyard. We have grass, green. You'd love it there if you ever came.
I'm gonna stop by.
You'll have to come sometime. Yeah. So it's hard to emulate an experience for coffee. That's why some coffee shops are, in strip malls, and I'm like, are they, some do good, some don't. But for me, it's like you want to visit a place and be inspired.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think you've done a lot of phenomenal things,
Oh,
and
thanks.
I'm so thankful to have you on the show today. This has
Thanks for
been,
having me, man.
I've learned so much from you. Wow. Like, this has been a very rewarding episode, and I think you're a phenomenal person, and
Thank you. So
you've
are
done a
you.
lot for Edmonton. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and thanks for being brave enough to have a podcast, man, and put your heart out there.
Yeah.
I think you're going in the right direction, and onward and upward for both of us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And do you have any advice for people on wanting to start a business?
I would always say, whatever you want to do, go with your gut. It's usually going to work out okay. And as long as you have a support system around you, whether it's good or bad, you'll be okay. You'll land on your feet, right? I ran for politics. I didn't win, but hey, it's opened up a lot of doors for me in different ways. I have a business. It's great. And it keeps getting better. So, some things you win, some things you lose. But in the end, as long as you have that network, you'll be fine.
And people are struggling out there too. What would you say to the people listening right now that are feeling hopeless about Edmonton and they can't make ends meet? Like, what do you have to say?
You have to pedal. Okay, there is opportunities out there. I always say that, right? I look at one of my best friends is an immigrant from Russia, and he came with nothing, and now he has a beautiful condo downtown. Top, I think he's 66th floor of Stantec, beautiful views. He's working for government now, but he started at the bottom, and you have to be willing to sacrifice and put yourself out there and really work hard. And sometimes maybe where you live isn't the best. Hey, we all want to live in Glenora or Sherwood Park, but not all of us can. And so we have to be willing to be humbled, right? And not have an ego to everything. And if you can put that aside, it's going to work out for you in the long run.
Yeah, ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I've had ego too.
Yeah. I think we all do, but it's all about just, keeping it to a down point, like turning it down a little bit sometimes, because it can be your demise.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you again. And as always, to everyone listening, there is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope, strengthen your faith, and keep it long term. Jesse Watson, everyone.
Yeah, guys.
Peace. That's it, man. And then I just need a picture of you seated down there real quick.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.